A federal judge is ordering the Trump administration to submit plans to return or give hearings to more than 200 men it deported to El Salvador's CECOT prison. President Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act to deport 2 plane loads of alleged migrant gang members in March, despite a judge's order to turn the planes around. The migrants were later sent to Venezuela in a prisoner swap. Now the judge says the government violated their right to due process. ABC's Justice reporter Luke Barr is here for more on this. Luke, great to see you. So what does this mean for these migrants who spent months in that notorious prison?
Well, Stephanie, Judge Boasberg opened the door for those migrants who were in that El Salvadorian prison, CECOT, it's a notorious prison, to come back to the United States and get their due process. He says the government, quote, maintained constructive custody over migrants when they flew to El Salvador while they were imprisoned at CECOT. Now, of course, the government contends they did nothing wrong. But Boasberg ruled that their right to due process was violated when the administration invoked the Alien Enemies Act and deemed all the members that were sent to CECOT as members of that Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua without them to contest that designation. The quote the judge says, by granting the motion, this court is declaring that plaintiffs should not have been removed in the manner that they were, with virtually no notice and no opportunity to contest the basis of their removal in a clear contravention of their due process rights. Now, Stephanie, Boasberg was also pursuing a contempt inquiry against the administration, but that has been put on pause by the appeals court, Stephanie.
And let's talk about Kilmar Obrego Garcia in his case. He was mistakenly sent to CECOT before being returned, released, and redetained, and then released again. Now a judge is barring ICE from detaining him again through the Christmas holiday. So what are the next steps in this case?
Yeah, so a federal judge yesterday extended her temporary restraining order, basically allowing Kilmar Obrego Garcia to be free until she rules on whether or not the next steps for this case are. So they gave the administration until December 26th to respond to this TRO, basically outlining their next steps, what they plan to do, and of course, giving the Abrego Garcia's lawyers time to respond by December 30th. But this is just the latest saga in the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case. The government, of course, says that he's a member of a Venezuelan gang. He says that he wasn't allowed his due process. So, and of course, on top of all this, Stephanie, he was charged in Tennessee with human smuggling, which he's set to stand trial on next month.
Yeah, that's right. And while we have you, let's talk about Chicago and Illinois. As you remember, just a few months ago, there was that immigration crackdown in Chicago. And now the Justice Department is suing Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and the state's attorney general over a law protecting immigrants. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Stephanie. So this law that J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, signed last month basically limits the immigration enforcement at courthouses, schools, doctors' offices, et cetera. And now the federal government is suing. They're saying that that law is unconstitutional, and they say that it jeopardizes the safety of ICE agents, of Customs and Border Protection agents that are out there enforcing immigration law. Of course, the state doesn't participate mainly in immigration enforcement. Illinois doesn't, but other states like Florida do. Of course, it's going to play out in court, but clearly the administration is wrapping up the pressure on the governor of Illinois and the state, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they certainly are. That back and forth continues. Justice reporter Luke Barr. Thank you, Luke.